Right, so this is something that took me completely by surprise. I find out yesterday, Friday, October 2nd, that Luke Ward-Wilkinson is guest starring in an episode of Doctors on BBC One. Doctors! Friggin' Doctors! The TV show that's been on the go for years, but I have somehow never felt the urge to watch a single episode. Doctors! Obviously, I knew Luke Ward-Wilkinson. Obviously, Luke Ward-Wilkinson's back in Lord of the Flies, as I've mentioned in a previous video, and I know he's coming back to TV, guest starring in the new 2-part special of Luther that's coming out pretty soon. But Doctors, Jesus Christ! But that's all right though, because I tuned in. Oh yeah, I didn't want to miss this. I found out pretty much the night before, so I found out on the Thursday that this was going to go down because I just checked his Internet Movie Database and it had been updated. Boom! Doctors 2015. Air date Friday the 2nd of October. Alright, I'll be there. So I tune in and I wasn't disappointed because Luke Ward-Wilkinson is back in a major way. Honestly, this is like the second coming, man. I swear to God. Right. Opening titles roll. We start the episode. Luke Ward-Wilkinson is the very first person you see in the episode. I am pleased. I couldn't believe it, right? This show, this episode was amazing. I've never seen any of the Doctor's episodes before. I'm probably never going to see any of the Doctor's episodes again, but I'm glad I tuned in for this one. This is amazing, right? Because yes, Luke Ward-Wilkinson is guest starring in this episode. Basically, the storyline is he is obviously a young lad. Obviously, Luke Ward-Wilkinson, he's 22 now. I think he's playing a slightly younger character, a character who's at university. Not that a 22-year-old couldn't be at university, but, you know, hey, that's not the main focus. But yeah, and basically his mother is a lecturer at this university, but she's recently been having some time off, and she's a recovering alcoholic who's been into rehab, and basically Luke Ward-Wilkinson's character, he's essentially been to hell and back with her. You know, he's been basically a carer for her, and he's gone through it. You know, he's one of the, you look at his character and you can tell by the way he's acting that he's been through a lot. And, you know, Luke Ward-Wilkinson in this, he has this manner about him, he has this glare to it, this glare that he has. You take one look at him and think, yeah, this guy's pissed off about something. And yeah, it's fully explained later on. He's got good reason to be pissed off. He's been through the mill. And so basically, his mother's in recovery. She's about to start back at the university. Luke Ward-Wilkinson, however, his character, he's not happy. He's very worried. You know, he doesn't think his mum's ready. Basically, you know, he thinks she's still ill and she's still, you know, she needs to go back into rehab. And you know, instantly we can tell, you know, something's not right with the mother. So we think, hey, Luke Ward-Wilkinson, he might be right. You know, we better listen to this guy. And so obviously that is essentially the main plot of this episode, that progression, you know, with Luke and his mother. Now, obviously, it's worth tuning in. It's available on BBC iPlayer, or if you have Sky Plus, it's available on the catch up. So if you want to see it, check it out. But that's essentially the plot of the story of this episode. But let's get into how Luke Ward-Wilkinson is in this movie. He hasn't missed a step. Honestly, he's as good as he ever was. He's better. He was great as a child actor. He was. But obviously, there was a few rough spots he needed to iron out. And you know what? It looks as though he's sharpened whatever blunt points. He's ironed out whatever rough spots there were to iron out. Honestly, he brings his A game in this episode. Basically, it's kind of like, you know, when Mark Hamill shows up in Return of the Jedi. You know, as good as he was in the original Star Wars, as good as he was in Empire Strikes Back, there's something about him that's different in this. You know, you can tell this is he's developed, he's grown a lot, you know. That something's happened, you know. But yeah, Luke Ward-Wilkinson, he brings his A game in this. His acting is on point. Like I say, this glare that he has, honestly, he's got kind of like a Mel Gibson type intensity going on, and you think, yeah, this guy is he's really he could go off, you know. But it's understandable because there's this whole scene where he brings his mother to the doctor's surgery and he's talking to one of the nurses, and he goes into the whole backstory. Basically, it's like couple of minutes just continuous dialogue from Luke Ward-Wilkinson, essentially a monologue basically, and Luke Ward-Wilkinson delivers it so well. And honestly, he's got some tears going in this, you know. He goes through the emotions in this, and he's got some rage going as well, you know. There's a lot of built-up frustration in the character, and honestly, Luke, you haven't missed a step, man. What has been going on? I mean, he's still really good. It's been 5 years since 6 years almost since Beautiful People ended, and yeah, over that time, he pretty much faded from existence. He comes back with this performance. It's like he's never been away. It's like he's just been growing and developing and getting better over these couple of years. He's just been gone. I don't know what he's been doing. I'd love to have a sit down conversation with him. Say, what happened? Beautiful People finished in December of 2009, and from then to this, what the hell happened? Because I don't know. I mean, I was under the impression at one point that Luke Ward-Wilkinson just didn't want to be involved with the acting profession anymore. I thought he just left and he wanted to just do something else. Apparently not. He's still saying, you know, when he's been talking about coming back and being in Lord of the Flies, he said, you know, acting is his passion. It's what he loves to do. So I don't know what the hell's been going on in this past 6 years. Like I say, it's like a Return of the Jedi type situation. What the hell happened between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi with Luke Skywalker? What the hell happened between Beautiful People and this episode of Doctors with Luke Ward-Wilkinson? I don't know. I'd love to find out. It's kind of like a Rurouni Kenshin type thing as well, when Kenshin disappears off the map for 10 years and just shows up later in 1878. Where the hell did he go? Where the hell did Luke Ward-Wilkinson go? I don't know. Nobody knows. But guess what? He hasn't missed a step. He's as sharp as ever. Now, I apologise, I'm repeating myself, but let's get more into this. Yeah, he's got a lot of emotions going in this. He's, you know, from the moment we see him, all the way through, this isn't just a straightforward role that, this requires some acting talent. An actor that can go through a range of emotions. And Luke Ward-Wilkinson does it brilliantly. Obviously there's happiness. Well, obviously to get to the resolution at the end of the episode, you have happiness there, but then before that you have all this anger, sadness, frustration, stress. Like I say, the stress of being a carer to someone who's genuinely ill. And you really feel for him. That whole exposition scene that he gives toward, in like the 3/4 of the way through the episode, and it's the amount of dialogue he has continuous, just him. He does it perfectly. My God, this really, like I said, this really is like a second coming. Like when Chris Jericho came back to the WWE to save us all. Luke Ward-Wilkinson's come back to save us all, and he's come back to play Conor McLeod in the Highlander remake. I'm not going to let that go, by the way. But yeah, this was great. This was amazing, right? And I don't know. It's just like it's so strange. It's like he's never been away. To see him back on TV, it's very, very strange. One other thing I will say is, he really is the star of the episode, because he's on screen for about 75% of the episode, right? Basically, he is to this episode what Michael Sheen was to Breaking Dawn Part 2, the final Twilight movie. Every other scene is with Luke Ward-Wilkinson. Every other shot has Luke Ward-Wilkinson in it. And it's because, much like with Twilight and Michael Sheen, the director of this episode of Doctors knows that Luke Ward-Wilkinson is just pure gold, right? And anything he does on camera is going to be sheer brilliance. And so, even if it's just like a scene where his mum and Luke Ward-Wilkinson's mum in the show is talking to the nurse, there's a scene where they're sat on the bench together. Luke Ward-Wilkinson's there, stood beside him, and it's just they make every effort to keep him in shot because they know this guy is gold, and he really is. He really is. Honestly. I remember when like I say, I was introduced to Luke Ward-Wilkinson when I watched Sharp's Peril back at the end of 2008, and I knew he was someone special, like Elijah Wood. He was someone special. You watch Forever Young, you watch The Ice Storm, you see the makings of this great young actor. You watch Wild at Heart, you watch Beautiful People, you watch Sharp's Peril. You see the makings of a brilliant young actor in Luke Ward-Wilkinson. You watch Doctors, this episode of Doctors 6 years later, he's improved yet again. He's becoming ever more this great actor, and from what I've heard of the reviews Lord of the Flies he's been doing a fantastic job in that too. But there is one great scene in this episode where obviously his mother goes back to university and she's delivering this lecture, and obviously Luke Ward-Wilkinson doesn't think she's up to it, so he actually comes into the lecture to supervise, just sits down and supervise. Like I say, he's not even supposed to be in that lecture, he's not even on that goddamn course, but he's going in there to supervise his mother, and it's absolutely fantastic. Honestly, right, it's true. Luke Ward-Wilkinson is in 75% of this episode. All the interesting stuff has him involved. And like I say, it's because the director knows that this guy is pure gold. And he is. He's the most valuable player of this episode. My God. I just... Luke Ward-Wilkinson, come back and stay for good this time, please. Because it's going to be brilliant if you do. Honestly, go watch this episode. It's only half an hour long, and it's just sheer brilliance. Right? It's a lot of fun. My God, I'm so glad he's back. And yeah, there was that question that I had, when obviously before I saw this, yes, he's coming back. That's fantastic. Will he have? Will he still be performing, working at such a high standard? Yes, he very much is. He's still setting the bar high in terms of the performance he gives, and it's fantastic to see. And my God, if he keeps this up, he's going to be a star. He really is. I called it back then. I'm sticking by it now, And like I say, you look at him in this, and yes, he looks perfect to be the new Connor McLeod in the Highlander remake. And sorry to repeat that, I'd spent a whole previous video talking about that, but seeing him on this episode of Doctors here, it's just confirmed it all the more for me. So yeah, that pretty much brings us to a close. I just had to talk about that. Guys, please go watch it. If you're a Luke Ward-Wilkinson fan, you won't be disappointed. And if you do go and watch it, I hope you enjoy it. I certainly did. I hope you do too. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you, Luke Ward-Wilkinson, for coming back. And I will see you all next time. Thank you, everyone.